Now that we've created an atomic update where whatever we pass in, that's what we're setting it to. We want to not pass in some things. Well, it's null now. But what if we don't exactly want that? What if we want to save some space on the network, especially if we have a very large JSON document that we're updating, and we want to update only one or two fields at a time? It would make a lot more sense just to pass in the changes that we want to make in the database to our backend and have those changes, take effect and then not touch anything else. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm gonna duplicate this atomic update, and we'll rename this to. This is gonna be partial update. So this was updating everything. Let's get this one task. We'll get 7. So if I copy you essentially, well, I don't really want to, have to pass in the ID 7. Okay. I don't want to update the title, let's say. So that's fine. I only want to update the priority, let's say. So I don't even want to update that. I would just want to update priority and set this to like maybe B now. This is what I want to send, just this. But in the atomic update, if I do this, then the title and the description are going to become empty, nothing. And that's not good. We don't want that. So enter in the partial update. Now, in partial updates, it's not a put anymore. This is going to be a patch now, saying that we're just patching this out. Just the one little piece. We're going to throw a patch in there. So let's implement this in code. All right, so we have our routes here for data. I initially was thinking of putting this into the same update task, but this is going to be different enough and sort of painful enough to sort of like work with the struct here that I'm actually going to duplicate update tasks and then sort of modify it to be the partial update. So let's go ahead and I don't have a duplicate there. Let's just copy everything. I'm going to create a new file. We're going to call this partial update task.rs. Paste you all in. So we have our request task. That's fine. This is now going to become partial update. And I'm going to keep that the same for right this second. Save you. And we can go to mod and mod partial update tasks and use partial update tasks, partial update. And let's go ahead and throw this into our route list. So route / okay, so this is gonna be tasks. We care about the task ID. And we also want this to be a patch with that partial update. Okay, so far so good. It's very same pattern as before. So how are we going to know if what we've set, like we've explicitly set something to null in these fields, or if we're just leaving it out? Because when something comes in, it's going to be a none. So if we don't set like the title here, it's going to come in as null, as none, because we didn't set it. But let's see, the title is probably not the best example here because we have to set that. What about description though? If I explicitly set description to null because I want this to be gone, I want to delete the description. The problem is it's going to be a none. But it's also a none if I don't want to touch it and I want it to remain exactly the same. Completely impossible for us to determine what's actually happening at this point. But there's a crate that can help us. Let's head over to crates.io. there's a crate called Survey with. We're going to go into the documentation because Survey with does support the thing that we need to do, but it doesn't have it in the documentation on the front page. So if I head into the documentation and I'm going to search for double, and that brings me to double option here. So this allows me to now have a double option, which, okay, it's none if it's not passed in, but if it's a something with another option in it, if it is set, but maybe set to something like null. This allows us to sort of understand what's really happening and what's actually going on behind, with our object and what's being passed in. The problem is we have to do this. And this is the reason why we're going to use a separate file. So let's go ahead and bring in Survey with. So back to our code editor, I'm going to do a cargo add Survey with. I don't need any features, just the default ones are going to be fine. Okay, so we have our request task. What I want to do is for each one of these things that I care about, so for example, the ID, I don't really care about the ID if we pass it in. I'm not going to let you delete that or change it in any way, so I don't need this for this one. But for priority, I do. I want to be able to say, priority, well, what if I want to delete you and just have no priority again? Well, you're going to become an option again like that. This update task, we're going to be changing you. So I'm actually going to, at this point, let's see, get the active model. I'm going to just comment out all of the business logic inside of our partial update so we don't get any errors. All right, so we have this option here. So far, everything seems to be fine, but it's still going to become a none if it's not passed in, and I still can't tell. So back to here, we want to do this. So I'm going to copy you, and we're going to go through what it's doing. Okay, so we're calling the Survey helper function here. We're saying, okay, set the default if necessary for deserialization. Skip the serializing if the option is none, so that way it doesn't come up with some weird like none. It might confuse it. So that's important for serialization. And then finally, we're going to use this double option. So we're telling, hey, Survey, make sure you use this double option feature when you're doing deserialization, when you're doing serialization. We have to do this for every single field that we want to support this with. So we want an option string for title, let's say. So I'm just going to copy you. We want you. Completed at, we want you to handle. I'm going to multi-cursor this. Have option. There. Okay, I'm going to take you, copy you, and we want this. Okay, we have it on priority. I want it on title, completed at, description, deleted at, user ID is default. I'm going to put this one line up and paste in. So as you can see, this is a little bit messy. It's not the best to look at. Now in this example, we're handling everything with the option. And unfortunately, a patch requires us to do that because every field, what if we're not setting it? What if we're doing something else? If you have a smaller object, this is obviously a lot nicer. And if you're needing to do this pattern, but not necessarily with a partial update, but with just anything else, obviously you can sprinkle it in wherever you need it. Okay, let's move forward to like the actual updates. So just gonna go ahead and delete this, and we're gonna start over. So we have the request task coming in, we have our task ID, and we have our database. Great. We want to start the very same way and get the, so actually we need to get the existing active model. So right now the way is that we're just like creating a new active model. We're not going to do that anymore. So we have to change this. We have to get the current one. So we're going to do let, I'll call this the DB task equals, we're going to do a task find by ID, hand it that task ID. We will get, we need to filter. Do we need to filter? I don't think so, because we're finding by the ID. So we're going to filter by 1, pass a reference to the database. We await, and let's map the error just in case we do have an error here. I don't care about this, and we're going to return a status code of internal server error. Question mark U. Now, this gives us an option because, well, what if we couldn't find it? What if that task ID doesn't exist? Let's handle that down here. So in that case, we would want to return a 404 because we couldn't find it at all. So let's do an if. I'm actually gonna return the model out of the if let. So we're gonna do a let DB task. Do I want to do an if let here? We can. So let DB task equals if let sum. We'll call this the task equals to this entire thing. Okay. I do need a semicolon for this because I am returning something from it. All right, so if we get this task model, I just want to return this out. And that comes into this task. Now, if we don't have one, I want to return a new error. So we're going to return an error, status code not found. So 404 and semicolon U. Okay, I like to do that because it means I'm not now doing all the rest of the logic tabbed in inside of this block. I'm still at the base sort of indentation level. To me, it's a little bit easier in my eyes. All right, so we have our DB task as a model now. I want to convert this into an active model so I can set things on it. So we can actually maybe do that right here. So if I do into active model, that consumes the model and gives me back an active model that now I can do things on. So we're going to need to set you as mutable because we're going to be updating you. Okay, so that's the first step here. We need to get the active model of an existing DB task in order to update each of the fields. But now we're going to use this part to know which fields to update and then update them. So we're not going to do anything with the ID, but how about priority? So if the priority is set, so let's do an if let sum priority equals, this is going to be our request task dot priority. So if you're set, that's going to be a sum. Now it might be a null still, which means we want to set it to, null. And that's where this comes in. But CORM can handle the none at this point. So we can, because it's going to be a sum with the string or if it's going to be a none. And we don't really care anymore because we know it's being explicitly set by our end user here. Okay, so I want to do take this DB task We want to do dot priority. I want to set that equal to set and priority. And that's it. That's what we're going to do. Now, we've been doing a lot of coding for this. I want to do a quick test just to make sure that the priority part of this works. So we're going to come to our update. All right, so we do a task update. This is going to be the DB task. So DB task. We filter. So we're going to update based upon the task ID. We execute with the database. We await. We map error. Okay, so we should be good. If we come back to partial update now, I want to just set the priority to be B. And if we remember, that is priority A right now. So I hit send. We get a 200 OK. And we get a priority B. We haven't touched anything else, but if I also attempt to update the description, let's say we now want you to be C, but I also want to set the description to be explicitly null. If I do this, update the priority, but of course the description isn't updated. So let's fix that next. All right, so next up, we'll do we'll handle that description next. If let some description equals request task dot description, please. Typing today. Okay, so we want our DB task dot description is equal to set description. All right. Now, if I do this, remember, our description is I am updated. Let's set this back to a B, and our description is null here. I send you. Description is now null. Priority is now B. This is how we can do our patch updates. This is how we can know if we're getting a null and setting that explicitly in the backend. Okay, so let's finish up and let's do the rest of these. Okay, so we've done priority and description. So if let some we could like do this generic, or we can just like keep on going down from the top. So we have priority, let's do title. I like to do these over and over again as just practice to make sure that we've got it right. So that's what we're going to do now, is just a little bit of practice with it. So we have a request task, title. Now, sometimes it's important to sort of decide, what do we really want to do? Because we can't actually set title to none, can't we? So in this case, if we want to attempt to set it to nothing at all, then I actually don't want to do this, do I? I don't need a double option because I can't set it to null at all. So if I attempt to, just don't do anything maybe to it. And otherwise set it to be whatever string I'm handing it. So I'm going to remove you. Remove the double option. And here we go. Okay, so if let title, I still need to do the if let sum because I can't set it to null. I need to know if I can unwrap it. I need to know if we set it in. And we'll do db task title equals set title. There we go with that. Okay, excellent. Next up, so title completed at. Let sum completed at equals our request task dot completed at db task completed at equals set completed at. Okay. What's next? We have already got description. We have deleted at, user ID, and is default left. So let some, what was, I already forgot the other ones. So we have deleted at, user ID, and is default. So we have deleted at equals task dot deleted at task dot deleted at equals set deleted at if let some. Now, this is another good sort of question: is do we want the user to be able to, or like, do we want our user to be able to unset the user ID or to change ownership of this? Now, in true REST, we have to allow for everything, but maybe we want to update this a little bit. What if we don't want you to be able to set the user ID completely? Well, we might just say, you know what? I don't care about you. Maybe we don't care about the to mark something as is default either. So I'm just going to remove these, and we're not going to allow them to set those. In which case, okay, we're done here. That's fine. Which means I don't need you. We've now set all of these things that we care about. We do our update. Okay. Let's come back in here and we'll do another test. So I want your description to be I am back. Maybe I want a completed at because right now I'm not getting anything at all. Okay, so I want completed at to be set to what's today? Today is, let's do like 2022. Let's see, what is it? Month, sorry, year, month, day. So 11/17 is when I'm recording this. So if I send you, input is not unique enough for date and time. I need to actually set this to be a proper date time. So I think, what's that? Something like 12. I don't remember that the actual characters are from that. Is it something like that? I don't remember anymore. I'll have to look up what the exact date time is for each of these. So I can't set that. And I don't think I have. Oh, we have the title, so we can set the title. So title is my new title. Send you. You're happy. Get you back. Here's my new title. Priority is set. Description: I am back. Great. Okay. So that is a partial update. It's not quite as easy as an atomic update, as we see, because we are having to deal with the double option, which means that we have to use that sort with, which means we need this sprinkled all throughout our struct, which is not fun. So anyways, hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you'll be able to use this in your own code and now handle a purposeful none sent by your front end. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.